All right, Lakers fans, let's get into it, because the latest news is a real blow for the Golden State Warriors, and it could end up changing the entire landscape of the NBA trade market. Jimmy Butler's injury is a massive hit, and it's one of those moments where everything starts to shift. The moment he went down, everyone was hoping it might just be a sprain, something minor, but unfortunately the reports came in, and it's confirmed. Jimmy Butler tore his ACL. That means he is done for the season. And that's not just bad news for the Heat or for his own career. It changes the entire competitive balance for the Warriors and the league. The Warriors were finally starting to find their groove. They were building momentum, and I think at the time, they were sitting with one of the best records over the last stretch of games. They started to look like a team that could actually make a serious run, and they were starting to get that confidence back. But now, without Jimmy Butler, their chances of winning a championship this season take a massive hit. Even with him, the odds were never great. The reality is, the Warriors were already a long shot, and losing your best playmaker and a key veteran leader makes it even harder. Unless they make a major move, their title hopes are basically hanging by a thread. It's the kind of injury that really makes you think about how fragile the sport is. We keep seeing ACL tears, Achilles injuries, and the same devastating setbacks over and over again. It's brutal, especially when it hits star players. I always say it, I wish we could just turn injuries off for a season and see what happens. Because the truth is, so many playoff runs and championship paths get warped by injuries. You look at any deep run, and there's always some what-if moment where someone goes down. Nobody wants that. Fans want to see teams at full strength, battling it out, and the best team winning without any excuses. Now, why is this even a Lakers discussion? Because this injury could force the Warriors to make a move, and the most logical move would be to trade Jonathan Kuminga. Let's be real, the Warriors have been linked to Michael Porter Jr. for a while, and this situation makes that move more likely than ever. If the Warriors want to salvage this season, they need to add someone who can step in immediately, someone who can fill the scoring and playmaking void left by Butler. Michael Porter Jr. fits that profile. He's having an all-star level season, and he's exactly the kind of player who can slide into that lineup and keep them competitive, not just this year, but potentially next year too. You could argue that maybe this would be the perfect time to give Kuminga more minutes, but I don't see that happening. I don't think Steve Kerr wants to go that route, and I don't think the organization wants to either. And I'm not even sure Kuminga would want that, because the relationship between him and the Warriors has been rocky. It feels like the divorce is coming sooner rather than later. The Warriors have to do something, and the most realistic path is to make a deal for Porter. If you're the Warriors, you don't have a lot of options. There are many players out there who make sense and are available, and Porter is the clear target. Here's where it gets interesting for the Lakers. The Nets reportedly have no interest in Kuminga, and that's a huge problem for Golden State because they need a partner in a trade. There's been talk that the Lakers could land Kuminga for almost nothing, or at worst for a second-round pick, because the Warriors are doing a favor for the Nets by sending them a player with a contract they want to move. The idea would be Michael Porter Jr. going to Golden State, the Lakers sending an expiring contract to Brooklyn, and the Lakers getting Kuminga in return. It's a deal that makes sense on paper, and it's the kind of move that could actually happen if the Warriors are serious about salvaging the season. If you want to assign a probability, I would say the chance of this happening is much higher than people think. Some have suggested a 30% chance, but I'd put closer to 60. The Warriors are going to be aggressive, and if they want to keep Steph in a position to compete, they need to do something. And the Lakers being involved makes sense too. Kuminga is the exact type of player the Lakers need. Young, athletic, and with upside. The Lakers also have the exact salary flexibility to make it work. They have expiring contracts that match the numbers, and they can structure the deal in a couple different ways. From the Lakers side, it's not just about getting Kuminga. It's about keeping assets, maintaining flexibility, and not overpaying for a player who might not fit long-term. This is the kind of move that could be a first domino. If it happens, it could lead to more trades and more changes around the league. The Warriors, on the other hand, are in a position where they can't just sit back. They're not going to throw away Stephen Curry's prime years. They've got a window, and they need to act now. This season has been a mess in terms of consistency and injuries, but they were starting to find their rhythm. Then this happens, and it's a brutal blow. It's the kind of setback that feels like a gut punch, like a sudden shock that changes everything. The timing is almost surreal because this injury happened before the trade deadline, which means the Warriors still have a chance to make a move. If this had happened after the deadline, the situation would be a disaster. But now, they can pivot and try to retool. Michael Porter Jr. becomes the obvious target, and the pressure is on. The Warriors have to act, and the Lakers could be the team that helps facilitate the deal. It's the kind of scenario that makes you think about how unpredictable the league is. One injury, one moment, and suddenly the entire landscape shifts. It's unfortunate, but it's also the reality of basketball. So now we're looking at the bigger picture, and it really comes down to what the Warriors are going to do next. The reality is they're going to have to make a move, because with Jimmy Butler out for the season, they cannot afford to keep relying on the same group and expect anything different. The clock is ticking for Stephen Curry and Draymond Green, and every season matters when you're already at the point where time is not on your side. The team has been through a lot of turmoil this year, and they were finally starting to get back on track. Now, the injury has forced their hand, and it's a brutal reminder that in the NBA, you have to be ready to pivot at any moment. It is also worth pointing out that this kind of injury has ripple effects beyond just the Warriors. It changes how teams view their own rosters, how they plan for the playoffs, and how they evaluate the trade market. The NBA is a business, and it is always looking for ways to capitalize on opportunities. When a team loses a star player, suddenly other teams start circling, trying to figure out how they can take advantage. The Warriors losing Butler is a perfect example of this. They are in a position where they need to act quickly, and that means they have to be willing to make a bold move, even if it means breaking up parts of their future. That's why the talk around Michael Porter Jr. is so loud right now. He's the kind of player that can change a team instantly. He's having one of the best seasons of his career, and he has shown that he could be a high-level scorer and a real threat on the offensive end. The Warriors need someone who can create offense, someone who can stretch the floor, and someone who can take pressure off Curry. Porter fits that role perfectly, and he also makes sense long-term. Even when Butler returns, you can envision a lineup where Curry, Butler, and Porter all play together and create one of the most dangerous offensive trios in the league. That's the kind of vision that makes the trade worth it. But the biggest obstacle is finding a trade partner that makes sense. The Nets have been the most talked about team, but they reportedly do not want Kuminga. That is a big problem for the Warriors because they need to move him in order to get the deal done. It's not just about the money, it's about the fit and the long-term plans. Kuminga is young and talented, but the Nets have their own plans, and they may not see him as a player that fits their style. That leaves the Warriors searching for other options, and that's where the Lakers come in. The Lakers have the cap space and the expiring contracts that could make the trade work. They also have a need for a player like Kuminga, who brings athleticism and upside. The idea of the Lakers getting Kuminga is not just fantasy. It is a realistic scenario that could happen if the Warriors are serious about bringing in Porter. The Lakers could send an expiring contract to Brooklyn, the Warriors get Porter, and the Lakers end up with Kuminga. It's a trade that helps everyone, and it makes sense in the context of what each team is trying to accomplish. The Lakers get a young player with star potential. The Warriors get an all-star caliber player to replace Butler, and the Nets get salary relief and flexibility. It's the kind of deal that could reshape the league. Of course, it's not a guaranteed outcome. There are still other teams interested in Kuminga, and there are always complications that can arise when trying to pull off a multi-team trade. But the fact that the Warriors are now desperate to make a move increases the chances that something will happen. They're not in a position to sit still, and they have to be aggressive. The deadline is approaching, and if they want to salvage this season, they need to act fast. It is also possible that the Warriors decide to take a different route, maybe targeting a different player or trying to adjust internally. But given the circumstances, Porter is the most logical option, and it's hard to see them doing nothing. This whole situation also highlights the reality of the NBA's business side. Teams do not make decisions based on feelings. They make decisions based on what gives them the best chance to win. It may be unfortunate that Butler got injured, but that doesn't change the fact that the Warriors have to respond. And that response will likely involve moving players, reshaping the roster, and taking risks. The Lakers, in particular, have to be ready to take advantage of the opportunity. They have the assets and the flexibility to make a deal, and they should be willing to step in if it makes sense. If the Lakers can land Kuminga, it could be a major win for their future. At the end of the day, this is the kind of moment that makes the NBA exciting and unpredictable. One injury can change the entire landscape, and suddenly teams are forced to make decisions they were not planning on making. It is a reminder that nothing is certain and that the league is always evolving. The Warriors are in a tough spot, but they also have the chance to turn this into a positive by making a bold move. The Lakers, meanwhile, could be the team that benefits from the situation. If they play their cards right, they could end up with a young talent that fits their needs and helps them compete both now and in the future. It is a situation worth watching closely because it could lead to some major moves before the deadline. And then there's the question of what this means for the broader playoff picture. If the Warriors do add Porter Jr., that instantly changes the dynamics of the Western Conference. The Warriors would become a more serious threat, and that could impact the Lakers' path to the playoffs. The Lakers would have to consider how they match up against a revamped Warriors team and how that impacts their own strategy. It also raises questions about other teams who might be watching this unfold and considering their own moves. The NBA is a chessboard, and when one team makes a major move, it forces others to respond. But even with all of that, the human element cannot be ignored. Butler's injury is a reminder that players are not just pieces on a board. They're people with careers and lives that are affected by these moments. It's heartbreaking to see a player's season end like that, especially when he has worked so hard to be in the position he is in. And while fans will naturally talk about trades and opportunities, it's important to remember the human side of it. Injuries like this are devastating, and they can change the course of a player's career. So while we analyze the potential moves, we also have to acknowledge how unfortunate it is that it even came to this. Of course, none of this happens without some risk. The Lakers have to be careful not to overcommit or to make a move that compromises their long-term flexibility. The last thing they want is to end up in a situation where they have traded away too much for a player who does not fit or where they have limited their ability to make future moves. That's why the exact details of the trade matter. The Lakers need to make sure that they are not giving up key pieces or future assets for the sake of a quick fix. They need to make sure that the move makes sense not just for this season, but for the next several seasons as well. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, the NBA rumor mill was set ablaze after whispers began circulating around the league that Devin Booker could be on the verge of an unexpected move to the Los Angeles Lakers. The mere idea was enough to shock executives, fans, and players alike, given Booker's strong association with his current franchise and his status as one of the league's most lethal scorers. Still, insiders suggest that quiet conversations and shifting priorities behind closed doors may have opened a door few believe existed. Sources close to the situation describe a growing sense that the Lakers are positioning themselves for a bold strike, one aimed not just at staying relevant, but at redefining their competitive window. Booker's name emerging in this context is no coincidence. His elite shot creation, ability to thrive both on and off the ball, and proven composure in high-pressure moments fit perfectly with what the Lakers are believed to be seeking, a new offensive centerpiece capable of carrying the torch into the next era. Around the league, rival front offices are said to be monitoring the situation with a mix of disbelief and concern. The possibility of Booker wearing purple and gold has sparked debates about how such a move could reshape the balance of power in the Western Conference. Some speculate that the Lakers' appeal as a global brand, combined with the allure of Hollywood and a chance to chase championships on the sport's biggest stage, could weigh heavily in any internal deliberations. For now, everything remains in the realm of speculation. No official signals have been sent, and all parties involved continue to project business as usual. Yet the noise refuses to die down. The sense around the league is that this is not a random rumor, but one born from subtle shifts in strategy and ambition. Whether it materializes or fades away, The idea of Devin Booker reinforcing the Lakers has already accomplished one thing. It has sent a jolt through the market and reminded everyone that, in the NBA, the unthinkable can quickly become possible. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.